Okay.
All right.
What's going on?
Just like starting off. I mean, we can't cut the beginning of this. We have to like keep it because it's just like, all right, and then just dead air for a solid 3 seconds.
Yeah, no, totally.
Like, don't clean that up at all or anything.
No.
And we're live.
Dude, I've just stopped cleaning almost anything up. It's just like, whatever, man. Just cut it and put it out. Gotta be. Like, who cares?
Yeah. I mean, so, are you familiar with Red Letter Media?
No, I'm not. What is it?
They're on YouTube. They do Mr. Plinkett's reviews, or like I think the thing most people would know of theirs. Mm-hmm. That's the first thing I saw, and it's just this brilliant video that's like an hour and a half long, and it's this guy talking about Star Wars: The Phantom Menace, but he's pretending to. So the bit is that the guy talking is this like piece of just complete degeneracy, like drunk. He's like, well, I'm going to talk about this movie, Star Wars: The Phantom Menace, and explain why it's a piece of shit. So, one of the first things you notice, most movies have something called a protagonist? A protagonist? Protagonist? Apparently it's something most stories have. And then he just goes on about how the movie doesn't have a protagonist, and that means that its story structure is like it describes what it's attempting to do, and then it just doesn't do it at all. And he talks about so just to achieve that level of like not caring but caring, because a lot of it's very clearly like outlined, but then the person doing it is just improvising this brilliant character to deliver their video essay through. It's quite good.
Nice.
But they do some other stuff that's basically just video podcasting, and there are just big chunks where they'll just sit there in silence, like 2 or 3 seconds long, where someone will say something and the other person just kind of goes,
nice. It just feels more natural, I guess.
Yeah, and it also works a little bit better because it's video, so you have like a visual of what the person is doing, and like they're still responding to it. Whereas with this, like, we might have the look of the devil hollowing out our soul with an ice cream scoop on our face, but all that anyone's hearing is just you know. So for anyone who is just tuning in after the point that we started recording, so, you know, not actually participating in this conversation we've been having for a good half an hour, we're talking about Shannons Blanc, you bitches. I don't think I can get away with saying that. I just sound like an asshole.
I mean, you do, but, you know, who cares, man? I don't give a fuck.
I mean,
we're not doing this for anybody.
No, we're just trying to be cool, hip wine guys who are Instagram personalities / podcast personality. We're just trying to be personalities. We're just personalities.
Yeah, I would love to be a personality.
Personalities. Yeah, we just are so. I mean, I'm losing the bit.
Brilliantly charismatic and unique.
Yeah, like we just believe in our own charisma so much that we're just going to invent it by putting ourselves out there until enough people who believe we have charisma see us, that they will then attest that we have charisma. Whether or not we do, like, that's the way that media works now, is you just put it out there enough until people who like it see it, and then they advocate for you, and then everyone who is being a hater is anyone who has any conflicting opinion with the fan base, right? So right. Oh, what's the I was thinking about this the other day. Is like the fucking and it's so camp to like say it, especially in this context. So it's being part of my personality in this context or whatever. But I was thinking about how unfortunate it is that philosophy functions and is perceived as it is in culture now, because Sartre's concept, as far as I understand it, and I haven't actually read, like, is it Being and Nothingness? That's his big one. I haven't read any Sartre, but except No Exit. But and I don't feel like that counts because it's actually meant to be a stage play, which I don't think people give it enough respect for. But that completely aside, his idea of good faith or bad faith, like acting in good/bad faith, is one that is so, like, to have an understanding of that and then to participate in modern culture is so fucking exhausting and miserable.
Yeah.
That, like, I don't think people would want to teach it or, like, want to know about it because you can't know about that and then interact with, like, Katy Perry or like Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift might be the best example of like the dissonance that comes up from the idea of bad faith in art, because you can't tell when she's being sincere and when she's not, and which parts of her narrative are genuine and which parts are just completely cynical. Right.
Because it just doesn't matter. At that point.
No, yeah, because that would be in good faith for it to matter.
Right. Yeah, man. Yeah.
So to bring it in, I think it has a lot to do with natural wine as a conversation, which doesn't have anything to do with the wine that we're drinking. But I think the idea of good faith or bad faith, acting in good/bad faith, applies very much to winemaking. And I want to return to it as a theme later, but I don't know. I don't think it bears too directly on what we're talking about now.
Yeah, no. I mean, what I was going to say before is like, you're saying putting out content until somebody finds it. Whenever it's like, think about it now. It's like I was talking about this with my friend today. Like entertainment is just so it's just so fragmented now in the sense where like, we were talking about with respect to music, and like
it can be so personalized.
Well, absolutely, it can be. But I was sort of talking about how, we were talking about how, like, mainstream, like, there isn't really, like, a solid underground hip-hop community anymore because, like, Sony doesn't decide what people hear on, like, SoundCloud. You know what I mean? Like, on, you know, so you can find out about somebody through, like, I don't know, any, like, just fucking any way people, you know, Instagram, SoundCloud, Twitch, fucking
any like media
Vine,
whatsoever,
like anything, TikTok, any of that shit. Like, anyway, but yeah, and exactly, the only thing you only need what, like 10,000 people in order to be like successful. Like, if 10,000 people are paying for your shit, you've made it, rather than you needing like to go like musicians would be like, oh yeah, I went platinum, like I'm a big deal. Like, you don't need to sell 1 million records. Like, you don't need 1 million people to like your shit.
Yeah.
So it's just I don't know.
But
it's a whole separate thing.
But it's so dangerous because, and it's so dangerous because the gradient there is not well understood. Like, it's so with podcasts, say, like podcasts and stand-up comedy and the things that, like, people can just go out and make podcasts about anything they're interested in, and if they know enough about it and are serious enough about it and want to do it badly enough, they might succeed. Most podcasts just go out into the void, but there are so many that didn't, just because the person was passionate enough about the thing, right?
Yeah.
And had enough information, or was interested enough in getting the information about it, that they kept doing it and pursuing it. But then there are podcasts that are successful just on the concept of somebody knowing how to be successful and knowing how to, like, engage people's attention.
Right.
And I think, I don't know if we've mentioned it by name before, but I think that's like what part of why Come Town works. Because it's three people who are clowns. Like, comedians are clowns, and this is like the most bullshit nerdy thing I'm going to say about acting probably ever, but like, I did a clowning workshop once with like, a person who, like, that was what they did.
Yeah. Like the dancing?
Kind of. It was about the idea of approaching acting through the philosophy of clown work, which
Interesting.
is a modification of mask work, which is its whole. It's any thing in theater that is like a style or an idea immediately means you're talking to somebody who's it's a nightmare, because it's the same kind of thing as the Instagram thing. It's not only are they like talking about the idea of it's very ironic, because it's like someone's talking about mask work, but to talk about mask work in theater, you're wearing a mask. You're wearing the mask of somebody who's into mask work. It's a whole like like orders of interpretation of self kind of bullshit.
Right.
But the whole idea of clowning really as is tapping into that part of performance, which is just to feed the audience. So even if you have a script, like even if you're performing Shakespeare, you can, playing Richard III, do it as a clown, where you walk out on stage and just give the audience what they respond to most. So you do something one night and you hear more tittering or more chuckling about a certain thing. So you just lean into that aspect of the performance, which maybe you hadn't ever done before. But that's like, that's a reductive version of it. But the idea of just leaning into whatever is working. Yeah. Because then you become a cartoon of yourself as a performer. And the reason it works with clowning is because the people who are good at that idea have a very centered idea of where they're moving from and what their purpose is. And sometimes they totally lose it and you end up with a complete asshole who just doesn't... It's kind of like method acting. Like you just might end up with somebody who's like completely lost their sense of self. But making something that's just for the response you get also works. So that also fits into that idea of bad faith. So there are just a bunch of people out there who are just feeding whatever it is that they think is working for them, and that has to be in conflict with what they actually care about, or should be, and might not be for a lot of people. And it's, again, one of the things that's fascinating about wine, because with like podcasts and entertainment, the thing you're making is just the thing that's getting responded to, right? So there's all you need to do is create something people like, and you can do that out of anything. Wine is fascinating because you have to make a thing, and to make that thing, you have to learn a whole lot and do a lot of really hard work, and then everything becomes subjective on the other end. And it's like with music, again, is a great example, because even in the classical music world, there's a lot of like variability. There's a lot of layers of what is considered good and what is considered bad, and how to be good versus how to be bad. And despite all of that, you end up with a handful of people in the world who are soloists, like classical soloists, who people might not like their style or might not like them specifically, but it's accepted that they are one of the best, say, pianists or violinists in the world, because they can play the pieces other people can't play, and they can express things to extremes that other people just can't achieve because they are not technically capable of that. And the problem with wine is that like there's such a, and it's true with music as well in that same context, but like, you to see a world-class violinist, you don't have to pay as much money as you do to taste, like, to go see one of the best violinists in the world play a $10 million violin on, say Beethoven's Fifth Symphony or something, or a violin concerto. You can go see that for probably like $250, probably less than it costs to see Hamilton. Right? Yeah. As opposed to wine, where... And that actually is probably a really good example, where to drink rouleau or these other top tier Burgundies, you have to spend over $1,000. Yeah. For probably the same duration of enjoyment. Maybe less, maybe less time than you get out of a concert ticket, right? But on the flip side, you might have to pay the same amount of money to go see like Coldplay with the right tickets, and you would also have to pay similarly insane amounts of money to drink Opus One or whatever the fuck. Screaming Eagle would be the better example there. It's like there you go. What is the argument for that? And and that was like a whole big like unwieldy analogy, but I'm kind of happy with it overall. Like,
Right.
I don't know. It just
Yeah. No, it worked.
Because this is all going back to the thing that we said before we started recording, which is Chenin Blanc is fascinating because it achieves, it's like a real underground hip hop artist or an up and coming classical soloist who is genuinely phenomenal. But there are a lot of other people at exactly their level of notoriety and worth, say, in terms of like what how much money they make or like how often they're booked for gigs or whatever.
Right.
That are going nowhere. They're fine, but there are all of these examples of just such extreme talent and skill at this level, with at an accessible level for people, for the audience. Say, like, you can go out and spend. I can't think of a Chenin Blanc you would have to go out and spend more than $50 on to have an amazing bottle of wine. But you might also with $20 or less. Yeah. Now I'm losing the thread of it, and I've been talking way too much.
Sorry, man. There's a bunch of things branching off that other analogy that I wanted to bring up, but we can talk about those another time.
We can just loop it however you want, man.
I mean, nah, we're like 17 minutes in, and so Chenin Blanc.
We've tried to talk about Chenin before, right?
I don't know if we actually
because we did Sauvignon Blanc because.
But no, we were going to. I bought a bottle of Vouvray and opened it up and was
right.
Nope.
Yeah.
I mean, we've tried. So in the episode Graveyard, we have a Sauvignon Blanc, we have a Barbera, and we have a sparkling. So, I might
two sparklings, technically.
2 sparklings?
The first episode.
Oh, yeah, dude. That one's not. I don't think that's in the Graveyard. We could pull that back eventually. You could throw it as a Patreon deal. By the way,
the Halo saga.
Sign up for our Patreon.
Sign up for our Patreon.
Now we can cross promote shit.
Oh yeah. How many leather cucks are there out there?
Yeah.
What's the lowest one?
Sub. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I love that one because it also just like could be for subscriber. Like if you don't scroll past that on Patreon, you're like, oh, I'm just signing up for the basic one.
I'm just like a sub. Yeah.
Yep.
It's like shorthand. Yeah.
Yeah. You really have to get to leather cuck to realize what's going on.
Yeah, and then pay, like, you feel like that's probably the one people are going to be like, what about? Because pay pig, you're like, all right, what is that? I don't know,
Yeah.
But cuck and leather are both,
Oh,
but then there's the thing about the boot licking and shit, I don't know.
I just learned something I did not know.
Which is?
Well, we got to go back into Chenin Blanc. I'm on the Wikipedia page. Like a professional ass podcast.
Like a professional, yeah.
So Chenin Blanc is a pedigree of, or its original pedigree is Sauvignon Blanc and Trousseau, which I did not know.
Whoa, really?
Yeah.
Trousseau, really?
Yeah. That's fascinating.
Damn.
That must be why it's acidity. So, like, I mean, both of those could,
that makes sense.
Acidity,
yeah, that's crazy, man.
Yeah,
it's pretty wild.
Yeah, and genuinely, probably in terms of prestige, I would say Chenin Blanc is. I don't know if it's moved past either of those varietals, but it's certainly established enough as a varietal that the fact that it was born out of those two is surprising to me. Yeah.
It doesn't seem. I mean, it seems nothing like either of them, kind of. I mean, the acid, yeah, but I mean, I don't know. It doesn't. That's really surprising. Yeah.
Well, and it's also Wikipedia, so that could be a contested thing, but
right.
Because that's one of the other things that's so important to keep in mind about certain parts, and I don't want to say that, like, there's lots of good information on Wikipedia, and I want people to keep in mind generally that what you were told in high school about Wikipedia not being reliable is kind of bunk, because technically Wikipedia is more accurate in terms of the percentage of false information on it versus accurate information than the Encyclopedia Britannica. Like, I think Encyclopedia Britannica has something like a 2.7% inaccuracy, and Wikipedia's is below 2%. People can put false information on Wikipedia, but there is a huge network of people out there trying to make sure that it's accurate. I'm a big advocate for Wikipedia. I think it's one of the best things on the internet. But
it's great.
That's not important to this at all. Yeah. But there is information that, while not false, is like, you can debate. Like, there's information that is known and information that is like speculated. So I don't know which one of those that falls into, especially with wine origins, because so many things are confused. Like, kind of going back to our Syrah episode, the idea of it, being Shiraz versus Syrah, all that. Who knows? Who knows exactly what the story is there? But I like to think it is just one of the first and best examples of cultural appropriation.
Probably. Yeah. At least on that, I feel like wine related.
Yeah.
But who the fuck knows, man?
Yeah. Okay, so DNA analysis shows that Chenin Blanc has a parent offspring relationship to the Jura wine grape Sauvignon, which would also then make sense with the Trousseau. So Trousseau and Sauvignon Blanc are apparently both thought to be offspring of Sauvignon, which is Sauvignon is technically separate from Sauvignon Blanc. It's a Jura grape. Yeah. We're at some point going to have to do episodes about Jura, and it's going to be...
Yeah.
Like, that's going to be just such a clusterfuck.
Yeah. I mean, there's a zillion things going on. It's we're going to have to break it down to pieces, obviously. Yeah. And
for anyone listening, because I keep saying that because it just baffles me that people are listening. Jura is to being a wine nerd as like, what would you say? Like, actually understanding thoroughly the theory of modes of major is to someone studying music theory. It's like that. It's more complicated than that. That's not even a good example. The Jura is like you're going into film studies thinking you have creative taste in film because you like Quentin Tarantino, and then you after like the first year hear about Tarkovsky, and then you just go down a rabbit hole of like, trying to learn about that, and then you just keep learning about other stuff, and you're like, oh, I need to have purposefully obscure, interests to be interesting. It's like, this is like, there is cool stuff there, but like it just gets so complicated that, people talk about it without knowing much about it just to seem interesting.
Yeah. I could see, and you're on a big analogy run today.
I'm really on analogies, man. I'm all about thinking of things outside of my own context, because that's all I can do in quarantine is like imagine worlds outside of the one that I actually live in. Even though I had a great day, it's just like, it's where my brain is these days.
Yeah,
fictionalizing everything. But yeah, Jura's. I love so many wines I've had from the Jura, but I cannot talk about them without having them in front of me, I feel like.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
Okay. But yeah, let's get back to Chenin Blanc, because Chenin Blanc is apparently some sort of weird child of the Jura, and is amazing. So... what do we got to say about this stuff? So we're talking about it specifically in the context of you're drinking a Vouvray, right?
No, I'm drinking a summer blanc.
Right. You're drinking the one with that music label?
No.
Oh.
No, that one's that's not even that's like a Muscadel Petit Grain.
Oh, right. Yeah, no, I'm just, my brain's such trash, man.
Yeah. No, I'm drinking a wine by Chateau de Hureau, so Hureau, and the Argile 2018, and it's a very, very, very yummy bottle of wine.
Chateau
it's delicious.
Wait,
Chateau
H-E-R
de Hureau. Yeah. And Summer Blanc, so I can read a little bit about it for the folks at home.
Yeah, tell me about it, buddy.
Let's see. Boom. I think it's all organic.
You're drinking the Argile Blanc?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vines age about 30 years old. Deep clay soil. Argile is the name of the soil. I feel like a lot of producers do that. They just name it after the soil. And then bedrock of Tufo, which is the.
Are you looking at the Paul Ainer Selections website?
The planner, yeah,
that's the one I'm on.
Nice. Yeah, and it's good if you can go to like an importer's website. That's usually where you can get pretty decent information about wine, like their fact sheets and all that kind of shit. Either that, or you go to the producer's site themselves. But a lot of places don't like. A lot of sites are just like, we'll make the wine. We don't really give a fuck about that. But their distributor will, because they're the ones who have to sell the wine. So, sort of an organic. Tufo is this bedrock. It's like this. It's limestone that's in a lot of the Loire Valley, or not a lot, but like certain regions in it that can make Cab Francs and Shannons and stuff really beautiful and really elegant.
Yeah, I would say
very limestoney.
Yeah, they achieve beautiful acid balances in basically any varietal.
Yeah, you mean
they can.
The soil, like you're talking about, or the
that like region, like the when you brought up Cab Francs, I just thought about how like compelling that acidity of those wines is.
Yeah. No, they're delicious. We should do that. We should do Cab Franc soon.
We really should. Yeah.
But native yeast ferment, neutral barrels, yeah, that's about it. It's super cool. It's like really. I haven't described like or done tasting notes on something in a really long time. It's got that really cool. Well, it's like tons of like chalk right away. But then it's got like one thing I like about Shannon is that it'll have like ripe fruit on the nose. Mm-hmm. So let's say it'll be like not like a green apple, but it'll be like a you know how like yellow apples kind of have that like.
Oh that's the perfect. That is the perfect for Shannon. That's the perfect call. Thank you for that.
Yeah. The thing is that I don't really like yellow apples that much.
Oh no! I do not like it at all. It's like the other perfect comparison flavor thing is green peppers, because that's the pepper that comes up in like Carmenere, and it's it's on the other end of this thing where it's like green peppers bad in the peppers most of the time. And in the wine if it shows up.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I hate when there's like real prominent green bell pepper.
Yeah.
In anything. It's gross.
But this wine, you're exactly right that it's, as Granny Smiths have their own high malic thing.
Yeah.
And red apples can range all kinds of things. Red Delicious is a completely different substance than the Honeycrisp or whatever. But golden apples have that very specific taste of mealiness, whether or not they are mealy at all. It's that melony, like overripe melon flavor, but it's specifically the way it presents in a golden apple.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's such a good note for Shannon.
And
because it's great. It presents it better than that. Like it's weird that it's better than the thing you're relating it to. Like you have to highlight that part.
Right. And then there's this kind of thing that I get with certain, or with like a lot of Chablis, where it's like this. It's like, it's fucking weird, man. It's, you know how like, all right, so this is gonna be weird. Cotton candy, right? I'm not saying this smells explicitly like cotton candy, but cotton candy has this like, this. It's not, if you take away like the piercingly artificial, like slap in the face that cotton candy has. It has this like, I mean, obviously sweet, but it doesn't often like, something doesn't really smell sweet. It tastes sweet. It might smell like things that you've had that are sweet, but something doesn't smell sweet. But cotton candy has that sort of, like it smells like sticky almost. Yep. And I'm not saying this has that, but I don't know. It's like,
I'd say
it's something
the
that I
other thing
associate
you
with
can
cotton
get that
candy.
character from that is not, because cotton candy has it. Kettle corn has it when you're like walking. You know, it's a very carnival thing. You walk by elephant ears, kettle corn, and cotton
Elephant
candy,
ears,
and they all combine into this. Like you're actually smelling just sugar because it's vaporizing so in such quantities that it's not, you know, that you can actually get a hold of it. It's a very faint thing, but honey also has a smell like that. Like if you have really good fresh honey and you just fucking get your nose close enough that it gets stuck to it, you'll pick that up, I guess. But
yeah, and what was I saying? Yeah, so it has that, but then it has this like briny acidity sort of thing. Like if I was ever doing like blind tasting or something, if I would get a Shannon like this, I'd be kind of split between it and Chablis. Like it's very Chablis-esque, but so like aromatically it's sort of similar. So it's like, all right, you got the limestone chalky check, salinity check, that like apple check, like whatever, white flower, honey check, and then the difference for me is texturally, and then the acid on Shannon is like just through the roof.
see, that's
so
one of the things
crazy.
that's so funny about these two that I've opened. Yeah, I think it's just that this other one's just not as good. Like it's just it's not compelling. It's too phenolic and it's not balanced.
But yeah, so with but the acid with Shannons, it's like, I don't know, I love like just tart stuff, you know, like there's any sort of sour anything. But sometimes it's, you know, just like if you do something, like if someone gives you like a really deep massage, like it hurts so good kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's for me like acid on Shannons. It's like, fuck, man, this is. I'm like puckering and kind of twisting, but it's exactly what I want.
I've had Shannons like that, and honestly, these two aren't quite. These are also both older than I think I've usually had Shannon. So I'm drinking, the one that I'm really enjoying is a Domaine de Baumard SAVENNIÈRES. And the other one, I won't tell you exactly what it is because I don't want to be a dick. They both have that. So the one's a 2016, the one that I'm really enjoying, and the other one, which it's not bad wine, it's just it doesn't compare at all, is a 2014, and the acidity, maybe that's part of why the one went a weird way. I don't know, but I've had. So what vintage is the one you're drinking?
2018. Wait, what was the name of your producer?
Domaine de Baumard. So Baumard.
Oh, Domaine de Baumard. Sorry. Oh yeah, no. I've had that wine. That one's so good.
That one, it's phenomenal, man.
It's so good. I actually almost got a bottle of that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, damn. All right, whatever. But what vintage is yours?
16.
16. Nice.
Yeah. So the acid's integrating really, really well into the phenolic profile, and so what you're talking about with like that ringing sort of like high tone acid I've had in Shannon before, and I associate that more with like dry Riesling made in the New World.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
You know, where people make, you know, they go to make a dry Riesling, and it's just like, Fa-cha! You know, you're worried that you're going to go into the dentist and there's going to be no enamel left on your teeth.
Yeah.
Shannon has this acid that feels designed to incorporate into the wine over time. Like it has acid that very clearly relates to why it's one of the other main varietals that people talk about making great sparkling wine, because like sparkling Vouvrays are totally like a, you know, well, maybe I'm making that up that's really talked about, but I think of Shannon as making these great sparkling wines, which we'll get back to in the next time we do a sparkling episode, because I actually just bought a bottle of sparkling Shannon for that. But it has that capacity to have really great flavors going on early in its ripening cycle, so that you can pick it and its acids can all just be super primary, but it will still have meaningful flavors going on, as opposed which you have to have for sparkling wine, which is something that Chardonnay can do if you're growing it in the right places, and Pinot Noir does when you're growing it in the right places, which is why Champagne exists. But like as far as I know with Riesling, like it doesn't have that kind of acid that's gonna. Well, and that's not even true, because people do make really great sparkling wine out of Riesling, but Riesling plays that game so well with still wine that people tend to fuck around more with that. Like Riesling just can have crazy acid all the way through its life cycle, depending on how it was grown and whatever. Whereas Shannon, I feel like it's very much related to pick date. And I don't know that much about growing Shannon, but if it's anything like Sauvignon Blanc, I would guess that that's the case, because Sauvignon Blanc can lose its acidity and then get weird and phenolic.
Yeah.
And I know nothing about growing Trousseau or how Trousseau works, but I am under the impression that it has pretty like gnarly, you know, acid that you have to know how to handle. So
Trousseau, dude, it would be so cool to work a harvest in Jura.
Oh my god,
that would be so fucking cool, man. See, all right, so
that'd be a good time, man.
I really want to go on a Jura rant, but I don't want to like.
Let's just do an episode about the Jura.
Let's just do an episode about it. Ooh, we'll get a bottle of Arbois.
Nice.
All right, nice. I know where to get one. Cool.
I have there's a wine shop I have been wanting to see if, you know, it's just one guy, and I'm sure that he's been open this whole time because he just doesn't give a shit. But
shout outs to
Wineopolis.
Wineopolis.
Yeah.
You know what's a really good wine I had the other day? Or I didn't have it the other day, but a big producer I'm a fan of in Washington is Woodward Canyon. You ever have those wines?
No.
They're good.
Nice.
They're good, but I don't know. Something just reminded me of Woodward Canyon.
You don't say.
Yeah, I
so actually,
I know it's probably not that one.
So good, man. That was so good. Funny you say that. I was actually thinking of a wine shop that's genuinely just one guy. Like you're thinking one where there's hired help. I'm thinking of a place that like is. So I'm thinking of this wine shop in my hometown that it's just so great, because the guy, like, you know, he'll talk your ear off if you give him the chance, but he has this amazing collection of Oregon producers that you won't see other places. Like he has the cool Oregon shit, and he has it all in one place, which most people can't do. Like he has all of the cool stuff. You know, that people like allocate.
Yeah.
But he also he has this spread of other producers, other regions. Like he has everywhere, and he might only have like 3 wines, but they're good examples of the wines. Like, and that doesn't always necessarily mean they're good, but they're ones that you can buy. He always makes sure to have something from a region that's like $15. Which,
nice.
It might not be great, but it means you can buy it and get an idea of what's going on. And that's pretty cool. Like, weird places, too. Like, AOCs you don't think of in France. Like, places that I'd never heard of. And it's a small shop, but he's got all the stuff. And it's one of those wine shops you walk into and you're like, oh, yeah. I don't know if I budgeted 30 minutes to be in here, but I might have needed to.
Yeah.
Like,
but I'm going to be late to whatever I'm about to do.
Well, and I'm not going to break my fucking bank. And
Right.
it's one of those great wine shops where to do that, you'd have to buy a case, right?
Yeah.
To spend an inordinate amount of money, you have to buy a lot of bottles. Because that's the thing about, like...
I love those places, man.
Yeah, because that's the thing about, like, most wine shops. You go in and you can make a bad choice with one bottle of wine.
Yeah.
But a shop like that, you can buy, you know... To get over $100, you need to buy, like, 2 bottles. That's a good wine shop. You know?
Dude, I'm sorry. This wine is so fucking good.
Nah, hell
It's
yeah,
like...
brother.
It has that like such striking malic acid on it that like you as soon as you put it in your mouth, it's like someone like juiced a green apple,
Yeah.
like a Granny Smith apple, and then like condensed, like removed. They didn't cook it, but they just like removed 50% of the water, and it's just right on the center of your tongue.
Yeah.
But the one thing I love about Shannon is like I was talking about, the texture.
Yeah.
Can be something that I find off-putting, or can be off-putting in certain Semillons, is that like sort of waxy, oily texture.
Yeah.
That I think that really good Shannons can have, just beautifully.
They nail
so
it.
It's it's not overdone, but it's just rich enough to complement the like just permeating acidity.
Oh, Shannon
And
is...
so you're left with like, it coats your mouth, right? But it's so much acid that immediately your saliva just like uncoats your mouth.
Yeah.
It's so good.
This might be the kind of thing that gets, you know, like people who know more than us, who for some reason have found themselves listening to this podcast.
Nobody knows more than us.
Nobody knows more than us. We are gods among men. But Shannon does this awesome thing of threading a needle between Chardonnay and Riesling in terms of expression of what white wine can do, while being completely itself. Like it's not like this thing that you're like you could totally have Shannons that you confuse for Chardonnay, or Shannons you confuse for Riesling, probably, I guess, like depending on like, I don't know. It's one of the reasons that I hate blind tasting, because unless you're talking about like super stylistic examples, you can make Chardonnay taste like nearly anything. Well, not nearly. That's overstating it by a long way. Chardonnay has a huge range for a white wine, and Riesling has an impressive range. Shannon has range, but it also has this soul that's like in the space that like maybe the Venn diagram of Riesling and Chardonnay overlap a little bit, or maybe they try to overlap, but what's in between them, I think Shannon occupies. And maybe I'm, blowing smoke out my own ass, but
Nah, you're not. I agree with you.
nice.
It's
Well, that means the two most knowledgeable people about wine in the world are in agreement, so you know it's true.
yeah.
Go update the Wikipedia page right now.
Boom, you could do it. I'm pretty sure that I could wipe the floor with an MW in any blind tasting. Any blind tasting. You're like, have you ever had like? I'd be like, listen, I've had 2 Grand Cru Burgundies in my life, I'll have you know, so I'm pretty sure that I could tell.
I know what's going on.
Okay, I'm pretty sure.
I think I know.
I've had neither of those wines, probably never will, but let me tell you, I'm pretty sure I can do it.
Yeah. But, so, like, in that conversation we had about, like Sauvignon Blanc is the Willy Loman father to, and I don't remember who Willy Loman's sons were.
I don't even understand that reference
Death
now.
of a Salesman. Death of a Salesman.
Oh. Okay, yeah.
Willy Loman's the, I think his name's Willy Loman. But like, that Sauvignon Blanc is one of the parent varietals of Shannon. Cracks me up because it's like the classic, like, there's a great Monty Python skit about a son who comes home and his dad's just shitting all over him because he's a miner. Like, he fucking mines for coal or some shit.
Yeah.
And the son's like, we're using these new tungsten carbide drills, and the dad's wearing suspenders. Like, the son's in a suit and shit, and the dad's in suspenders. He's like, tungsten carbide drills? Ooh, look at Mr. Fancy Boy. Tungsten fucking carbide drills? You've never done an honest day of work in your life. It's like, just because I didn't go into the theater like you, father, just because I'm not a playwright. So it's an inversion of that classic, like, father shitting on the son for not knowing how to work dynamic. But but that the son is more successful and happier than its father.
Yeah.
Like, Sauvignon Blanc has more, like, notoriety and is more grown than Shannon, right?
Yeah.
But among people who like wine, I feel like there's a unanimous, like agreement that better Shannons exist out there than Sauvignon Blancs most of the time.
Yeah.
But that's not even fair. Man. That's not quite right, but it's like, that's how it kind of, that's what the dynamic feels, is like they are functionally separate at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, in that dynamic, that the father, like, feels threatened by the son, or, like, has to defend their, their work, whatever it was, and however legitimate it is, but that the son, like, isn't a fucking shithead. Like, he's right. worthy for what he's done, and it's separate from what his father has done. Like, that idea. Right. That's Shannon and Sauvignon Blanc. Like, Sauvignon Blanc is like this one thing that is very surprising to learn is related to Shannon, because they occupy completely different spaces now, or not completely different spaces. They occupy different spaces now, and you do not talk about them in the same ways. And certainly the best examples of either of them would not be like, I don't know. Yeah, you just can't compare them. So it's very funny to me that one is one of the parent varietals of the other.
Right.
Even though they're both white wines having to live in in the, like, context of, like, a playwright father making fun of his minor son, like, those both exist in the shadow of Chardonnay, which is, I don't know, what would that be? What would Chardonnay be in this funny example? It's like, Chardonnay would be Michelangelo, right? Like, Chardonnay is, like, I don't know, some painter.
Yeah.
Completely different profession, but also, like, it's a bad example because that is a completely useless analogy. Forget that I ever said that. I'm not going to scrub any of the audio that, like, had to do with things that are actually problematic or complicated, or any commentary on people running for president right now and the hilarious things they've said. But we will scrub audio making me sound like an idiot who can't make a good analogy.
Don't worry, man. I know how to use this software to cut out chunks.
Cut out chunks.
You've seen how you've heard my work about.
I've heard your work
with the video, the clips, the clips on the Instagram. You've heard those.
Yeah,
they're so good. Somebody just messaged us on the Instagram saying, I don't know, some girl being like, who are you? I must know, or something. Hi, I must know. Who are you? Some girl, right? And so I just said, we have no name. Just dog shit opinions. And she goes, incredible, you've earned a follow. I'm like, cool.
Wait, I gotta see this.
I'm just gonna say cool.
This was a DM?
Yeah.
From Natty Sounds?
No. Aliorozak?
Yeah. Hi, I must know, who are you? We have no name, just dog shit opinions.
Don't know what that's about. But she started following us, so.
This is just some
person. I don't even know. I don't remember where.
Some bloggiste.
No, I don't think she even has a blog. I think.
Well, she said she has a blog.
Oh, does she? Oh, personal blog. Boom. There you go.
She goes to Tufts.
It's a personal
she
blog,
went
though.
to She went to Tufts.
Hey,
shout out to Allie or Zach, who we'll never know.
Seems like based on Instagram, it's a lot of Allie, not as much Zach. But
Well, I think she's saying we'll never know if her name's Allie or Zach, or her / he. Like, I don't want to assume the gender of this individual. You know. Maybe Zach is involved. Maybe Zach.
Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
It's her last name is Orzak.
Oh, that would make so much sense. Oh God, I hope that's what it is. I was giving her bio so much credit there.
I know, you never know, man. You don't ever know anything ever. Anyway, I thought that was funny.
That was a good. It was a good. I love that people are reaching out on the Instagram. It's so funny. Like, people are so like that's such a like I cannot imagine. Oh, you phenomenal, dude. Just saying hi. I must know you. Who are you? To what we do. I say what we do. We just started doing this. Like, this is not a thing.
I know. But, yeah, man. But the thing I wanted to do, you know, where you were like, Tom, fuck, I'll edit that out. Whatever. You were like,
no, we've said each other's names multiple times now.
We have. You were like, hey, man, what you did the other day, what you did yesterday, that was a little over the edge.
Yeah, which one was that?
Accessibility. The almighty sun demon Sorath.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, you know what? You're right. It was, but this is literally nothing to me. Like, the other day, I was like, I hate Instagram. Like, I'm just going to delete this. And I was like, I could just delete it. And I'd be like, okay. Like,
yeah.
It's not like it.
But this is so much fun. This is so much more fun than I've ever let myself have on Instagram. Like, I'm so timid with Instagram. Like, I don't post stuff because I'm like, I don't want people.
Oh, I know, yeah.
It's bad. It's unhealthy. Which is like, it is. But this is beautiful. Like actually trying to engage. Oh my God. You know the conversation we were having the other day, dude?
We talk like multiple hours every day. Like, what do you do?
That is a good point. So are you on the Instagram?
Oh, yeah, I'm on Instagram right now.
Scroll down until you see the post with the bottle of wine by a brand called Tuxedo.
Tuxedo?
I don't want to name the person who posted to Instagram because of, like, what I want to say.
Ooh, mamma mia. Yeah, that's an aesthetic that they're going for.
You just scroll through and look at all the pics?
Yep, I'm looking at yep.
Oh man.
Dude, man, how would you like that? I guess you did post it an hour ago. But like, how would you like to do that, right? And you end up getting like 25 likes. You know what I mean? I'd be like, dude, I'm gonna kill myself.
I mean, I wouldn't. Not if I had that much going for me.
Yeah.
Like, maybe it wasn't appreciated in one particular Instagram post, but you know,
yeah.
You're gonna. Oh, that's funny. What ad do you get right below that post? Are we getting the same ads on our feed?
I switched and then I went back to it. I don't see it anymore.
Okay. Tell me what the first ad you see is for.
The first ad I see. All right, let me go back up to the top.
Or scroll down a bit and then tell me if you see.
Is it a guitar?
From G-Bass Gear.
No, this is a Sweetwater Sound.
Oh, interesting.
Guitar.
Okay, because the one I'm looking at from G-Bass Gear is a Gibson 335, which we were talking about the other day on the phone.
Yeah, this is what kind of guitar is this? This is a Epiphone EJ200. But still, why is it giving both of us guitar?
Similar. Yeah.
Oh, and here's a PRS.
Oh, I'm seeing I'm seeing the one you're talking about.
The purple PRS and then the blue PRS is the second picture.
Oh,
from Eddie's guitars.
Yep. Yeah.
Why is it giving us these?
Because we talked about guitars the other day with each other, man. Like, it knows that I, on this phone, am also linked to my own Instagram. So it knows my ad behavior on that one. And I've clicked on stuff from Eddie's guitar before just to scroll through it.
That's true. It's true.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's me messing with the algorithm, probably. But
No. I mean, you know what another ad is on here. It's a masterclass by none other than James Suckling.
okay,
Teaching wine appreciation.
you have got to. I'm giving away so much of my podcast reference in this episode, but there is a episode. I think it's the last 2 Patreon episodes of Chapo Trap House. The latest one just came out, and I haven't listened to it yet, and I am psyched because the one before it was about watching the masterclass done by Aaron Sorkin and breaking it down, and they go into the history of masterclass and where it comes from, and like who made that company. And dude, it is wild. I don't remember all of it, but it's just this. It's this Silicon Valley brainchild of a guy who at one point was selling like gamer fuel, sort of like branded like it was like, you know, energy drinks in like pouches. So it was like Capri Suns, but one of them was
like Capri Suns, but yeah.
One of them was meant to look like an IV bag, or one of them was meant to look like a blood transfusion bag. And then the other guy was, you know, they're both these people who like have billions of dollars now, but they're just, you know, they just have to have these like harebrained schemes. And then at one point, one of them was involved in this thing that was like a positive visualization course in capitalism. And they played a clip of the audio from it, and it was like, close your eyes, imagine yourself in a boardroom full of people who are not only impressed by you, but intimidated by you and your business acumen. Now your phone buzzes. You look down at your phone. It's a text from Adam Smith himself that says, "Good job." Just stuff like that. And you're like, this is insane. It's a fever dream of capitalism as it fails, right? Like, it's the dementia taking hold. And their analysis of Aaron Sorkin's, like, because Aaron Sorkin is this whole running thing on Chapo Trap House anyways, and like his idea of both politics and narrative and story are a major point of discussion for them, which it's so cathartic to listen to, because you realize it's the beginning of this thing, this trend in television, which I just have managed to, I guess, imbibe without watching a whole lot of that particular television, but just like sort of, I don't know, I'm just a sick enough puppy that I've gotten it through
Just
osmosis.
a sick puppy.
But it's
some shots.
Need some shots. But
Need some shots and some worm medication from a naughty nurse.
But it's like, it's about how, like, how to think of art as this problem to be solved, which is the fundamental idea of the masterclass shit, right? It's like, art is this thing that you can just listen to the best ever talk about, and that'll solve how you participate in it for you. And it's like, if you've watched interviews with enough artists, actors are the best for this, because you watch interviews with them and you realize they're good because they're good at asking for your attention and keeping you focused on them.
Yeah.
That's what makes an actor good. Like, Ryan Gosling's a great actor because he's great at making you care about him for more than just the fact that he's hot. Like, it's about the fact that he's hot and something else. Whereas, like, so it's fascinating that the masterclass thing exists, and like, it just bugs me that I get so many ads for it, because it's just this idea, because some of the people involved are artists that I genuinely respect. I'm not going to comment too deeply on how I feel about James Suckling being one of the, you know, masters, but they're, you know, like, I like a bunch of Neil Gaiman books. I like what I've read of Margaret Atwood, and they both do them. You know, I like David Lynch, but
Oh, he did a masterclass? I didn't know it.
Yeah. But it's so funny to me because it's so, like, some of the people like David Lynch, I'm like, yeah, I'm glad you're doing this because, like, someone just offered to pay you an unreasonable amount of money to sit down and talk about your shit. And, like, it's probably useless to whoever watches it, but you got paid, check. So fuck it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that's wild about it. And the history of, like, the people who made it and then the discussion of Aaron Sorkin is very, very funny. It was just a very good couple episodes of that podcast. But yeah, man, the ads for the James Suckling one are tough. Like, they are.
They are fantastic. I don't know what you're talking about, but they, to me, perfection.
Perfection.
No, to me, I mean,
like, sorry.
Okay, wait. We should talk about Shannon a little bit more.
We should.
All right. Shannon is one of those grapes that it's like, I like it. I'd say the grape it's most closely related to, or not genetically speaking, but in terms of, I would say the closest grape to it, is Riesling in the sense that, like,
I can see that.
Any style, it can be amazing. Dry,
I would actually
sweet.
say it outclasses Riesling slightly in that.
Interesting.
In exactly what you said, I wouldn't say overall as a wine it outclasses Riesling, but in terms of if you can grow Chenin right, you can how to phrase this. I think more regions have figured out their own voice with Chenin in a really beautiful way than is the case with Riesling. I've had amazing Chennins from France, from South Africa, from I think I've had a couple American ones that were pretty cool, but like multiple different regions of France, multiple different parts of where else did I have one from that was really cool? I don't know where Chenin.
Australia.
I think so.
I haven't had any Australian Chennins. They're supposed to make some really good ones.
But so Riesling, I have trouble getting over how correct I think the German idea of Riesling is across a whole different swath of how it's grown and made. And there's some room in there for Alsace. But when it comes to New World Rieslings, I have trouble getting on board. There are some that I've had that are spectacular. And I really don't want to exclude the idea that Riesling can be done really, really well by New World producers. But when they do it really, really well, it reminds me of Old World stuff. Whereas Chenin, I've had Chennins that are not Old World, that are very much their own thing, that are exceptional wines. And that's where I would throw in that caveat with Riesling. Because I think it's a very, very apt comparison. I just think that there's a difference in like how it gets expressed. Or in the success with which it gets expressed to a specific place.
I mean, I feel like people know, because of whatever, the Somme movies and shit. People at least know who are in the... I mean, it's easy for us to talk about this and say, like, oh yeah, no, people know about, like, how good Riesling is and stuff. But we're sort of in this frame of mind where it's like...
Where dry Riesling has gotten its dick sucked by all the Somme movies over and over.
Well, no, but I mean, I think we're... a lot of times we just take it for granted. Like, I'd say maybe, honestly, at most 20% of my friends, like, know anything about wine.
Oh,
and it's probably because I've gotten them into it. And it's, so if I'm like, okay, everybody knows that a Riesling. It's like, no, like that. But like people like within them, so it's a weird. There's like a sub community of a sub community. So it's like, sure, like winemakers know that like Riesling is like a nerdy thing, that high acid, cool, it can be good. But I feel like, you know, within whoever is like in the know, Riesling gets a lot of attention now, at least. Like these days, it gets attention through the Somme movies and whatever else. And Chenin, I feel like it's something that people like to say that they like, just because they want to be, you know, like they want to stand out, and, you know, much like we were saying. But I mean, I don't want to say deferential, but they want to seem like they have personality by saying like, oh no, Chenin's cool.
Yeah, no, it's like saying
but they
you
don't
like,
actually.
it's like saying you like Ingmar Bergman films. To go back to the film analogy,
right.
Because someone's gonna hear that and know, like, oh, he made.
Oh, you know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And
like maybe you've watched The Seventh Seal, which is kind of where I fall with Shannon, honestly. Like, and Ingmar Bergman. I like Ingmar Bergman. I've really only seen The Seventh Seal and like clips of other stuff, but I've listened to people talk about his influence on film and films that he influenced that I really, really like.
Yeah.
And I probably know Shannon a bit better than I know Ingmar Bergman. But
You know what's a wine that I got blinded on the other day? Didn't guess it because I haven't drank one in like years.
Mm-hmm.
I think I had one when I was studying for the test, but before then I did not drink this for hardly ever.
Mm-hmm.
From, how do you say, it's the producer in Oregon's Ilehi?
Ilehi.
How do you say it? Ilehi. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The Viognier.
Oh yeah.
It is so good.
Ilehi's a super cool producer, man.
Yeah.
They deserve all kinds of props. They do crazy shit.
They're Pinot Gris, they're Pinot.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I haven't had a wine from them that I wasn't like, oh shit, this is really good. But their Viognier, especially, I was like, God damn, this is really fucking good.
I don't know if I've actually had their Viognier. I've had a couple of their other wines that are very good.
It's really good because my coworker was like, all right, yeah, like, what do you think this is? And I was like, it smells like it's got like the aromatics of something sort of muscat-ish, but it's definitely not muscat because the acid's way higher. But like, it's not. It's definitely not Riesling. It's definitely not Gewürztraminer. Like, it's not Pinot Gris. It has some phenolic bitterness, but it's not Pinot Gris. And I'm like, what the fuck has phenolic bitterness? Smells floral, kind of like muscat. Has good acid. I'm like, what the fuck is this? And like, Viognier was not even on my radar in the slightest. Otherwise, I would have been like, oh, it's Viognier. Like, yeah.
Well,
but
to be devil's advocate there, I wouldn't have expected you to think of that personally because of the acid question
Viognier?
about it. Yeah.
Because
Viognier can be great if its acid is there.
Right.
So.
Oh, if it's not, yeah.
Viognier, I think of as the alternate universe, goatee wearing version of Spock, like the evil twin to the dark mirror perception of Shannon. Because and which is not correct at all, but like there's some,
but I like it, so let's keep going with it.
Well, there's some equator, right, to the world of white wine.
Yeah.
And it probably bisects Chardonnay. And then Riesling's on one side. And
you think Chardonnay's the equator?
Well, I think Chardonnay straddles the equator. Because I think the equator of white wine is something to do with phenolics and acid.
I think it's Pinot. I would say Pinot Gris is probably the equator of white wine.
Interesting. Okay. Well, on however we're defining it, Chardonnay's on both sides of that equator. But I don't know. So I would say I like and dislike Shannon in proportion to how I like, in inverse proportion to how I like and dislike Viognier.
Okay.
If that makes sense. This is entirely personal, and the whole thing really is. But like, Viognier is exactly as low in my estimation as Shannon is high. Viognier bugs the shit out of me as a grape, and I don't understand why. I want it to, like,
disappointment, probably, right?
Well, yeah, but it's just like, when it's great, it's almost annoying because it's so great.
It's so good.
When it's good, it's so good, and you love it, and it's like, it's just this revelation.
Right.
And when it's not that, when it's not like specifically stunning, it's fucking dog water, man. Like,
dude, it's so bad.
And that's the problem is, it's either this like, and I hate that quality of anything, but like, it's either the best or trash. And Shannon isn't that way. Like, Shannon can be fine, or it can be really, really, really good, and you can access how good it is. Chardonnay totally has a handle on that. Pinot Gris honestly does too. But there's this, like, curve to it. Like, there's this gradient. Like, there's this, like, hey, I will hold your hand and I will teach you about what it means to be good white wine through understanding different expressions of this one grape. Whereas with Viognier, there's no continuity. It's just like, yeah, this. And you're like, what? This sucks. And then it's like, well, what about this? And you're like, this is amazing. I love it. And you're like, same grape. Fuck you. And you're like, why? What was going on?
Yeah. Yeah, man. It's, Jesus, it's a whole fucking thing, man.
Is that off base? Like, how do you respond to me saying that kind of wild shit about Viognier?
I mean, I agree with, I'd say, conservatively 65% of that.
All right.
Like, it's...
I've admittedly probably drunk much less Viognier than you, but...
I mean, I don't drink it often. I mean, I drank it so I would know what it was like for the test, but then, like, realistically, I was like, all right, I bought a bottle of Viognier, like a French Viognier, and I had it, and I was like, I'm not, like, if they give me this, I will see it, like, it's so glaringly obvious. It tastes like bitter soap. Like, that's what this tastes like. And, like, alcoholic bitter soap that I could not choke down. And if I get something like that on the test, I'm going to be like, okay, I'm not worried about it. You know?
No,
but then, like, every once in a while, I'll have one. You're right. Like what you're saying, where it's fantastic. And you're like, wow, like yesterday, I want another glass of this.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know if it's Pictet or whatever. I don't know if I've ever had a bottle of Condrieu, which is the I think it's the AOC in the northern Rhone Valley, and you can only grow, if you write Condrieu on a bottle, it's going to only be Viognier. Actually, maybe you can have Marsanne or something blended in there, but
all of those
it's predominantly Viognier.
Fuck with me so bad, man. Like Marsanne, Roussanne, Viognier.
I love Marsanne Roussanne. Don't really like Viognier that much.
Oh, I'm not saying they're bad. I'm saying they fuck with me. Like, I don't understand.
We got to do a Marsanne. Or Marsanne. Well, the other thing is, it's hard to find a, like, if you get a bottle of Chateau du Pape Blanc, it's gonna be like Marsanne Roussanne, maybe Picpoul, maybe a bunch of weird other shit in there. But it's very hard to find an old world wine that's like 100% Roussanne. Or 100% Marsanne, you know.
It's always Marsanne Roussanne.
It's a nightmare. Yeah, right. Never Roussanne Marsanne, which I find a little bit like
cart before the horse,
alphabetically. Cart before the horse.
Yeah.
I was going to say some bias as, you know, pertaining to the
dick
order.
Before the taint.
Dick before the taint. Fork before the taint.
Yeah. So,
and I don't know.
How much more do you want to actually commit to talking about Shannon?
I mean, a little bit more, because
All right.
All right, like 5 more minutes.
All right.
I think Shannon's really cool.
It's great. It's so good.
Yeah.
Like, people, different viticultural practices seem to work with it. Different winemaking styles seem to work with it. Like, you can make it different ways and make it good. That to me is awesome. Like, that to me is the hallmark of something genuinely special, because it's why I like Chardonnay so much, and Pinot Noir, and you know, like, you don't have to do a thing with it. And the thing that bugs me about like Riesling is like, you don't have to do a thing with it, but you can't do anything with it.
Right.
And people, you know, like, I don't know. Shannon. It's good. It's fucking good, man. I don't know.